Oh my God. So I was doing all that talking and I just realized that I was on mute. So I appreciate everyone that's here in the space in the room, and we're gonna have a wonderful time in the show. We got some guests, some people that are a part of the expanded conscious communities, and yeah, I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be something a little different, right? Go ahead and just see. Okay, thank you, Miss Marie, for coming on in here. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right. Let's just we're gonna get with this. All righty, righty. When I find all media assets, there we go. So, the title of this particular show is The Soul's Journey of Enlightenment. And one thing I know about enlightenment, and that is when you really think about it, you think about someone or someone being enlightened. A lot of times, of course, one of the first people that we would hear about in these neck of the woods, of course, is no other person than Jesus, of course, and maybe some others, right? Sorry, I'm a little nitpicky, but Jesus as an enlightened, ascended master, if you will, come to this world and brought a different level of consciousness, a different connection to who we are and to the divine. In a lot of his work, he talks about being divine. And it seems as though we have been chasing down trying to be like Jesus or trying to be like any other ascended master. A lot of times it seems as though we want to. Matter of fact, I remember talking about Jesus. I remember a song. It was to be like Jesus. All I ask is to be like him. I'm on my way from earth to heaven. Man, I don't know if y'all remember that, but we all can experience enlightenment. We all have. We just don't recognize it. We just don't really give it any thought. And so expanded consciousness as a show started with Bishop Carlton Pearson, and some would call it an awakening, but he had an enlightenment or an awakening, and he was doing church as normal. And he had an awakening, but there's something that I would like to see if I got something that was in my house of his, and it was his, and it was real early this morning. I share this with the private community, and it was early in my home, and I was led to pick up this elephant that was his, and he liked elephants, and that all of a sudden it led me to a book. I don't even know where that book is. I know it's around here somewhere. The only reason why I think it would be important, there was a letter inside of it, and the letter was to Carlton, but I know the book had to do with this guy named Dr. Rico Errico. And Rico Errico, he will say the Lord's Prayer in the original Aramaic, and which is really unique, but he really talks about how the original text, and he talks a lot about he talks about Jesus more from an Eastern perspective, Syrian perspective, and it's way different. And that was in 2000 when Carlton had that book. So there was little things working on him throughout the years there's little things working on you throughout your time. If you're sitting here relaxing wherever you are and you're watching me, I must say you have had a moment of enlightenment. You've had to have something that has happened to you to the point where you're like, you know what? I want to watch something more about the expansion of consciousness, the awareness of who I am, the awareness of who we are, the awareness of where I'm at, the awareness of the divine that's within me, the divine that is me, right? And I know it, I see it, I feel it, and I want more. I want to connect to more. I want to learn more. I want to know more. And really, you don't need to know anything. You just need to remember. Everything is in you, as you. It's another Bishop Carlton Pearson statement. One of the things that we will do this evening is, for those who remember this and know this, we used to have testimony services. And before you had worship teams, I grew up way, most of my church life was before worship teams. Most of my church life was congregational songs, choir, and that's it. And then you might have a testimony service, but we never really developed a worship team. We're so old school. Now you got a worship team that will go up there, 4, 5, 6 people plus a guy, But we had these testimony services. I don't know if you guys remember that, but as a young kid, they used to make us do it. And it would be nerve-wracking. Sometimes it'd make you nervous. And what was really weird and interesting to chase a rabbit is we had protocols when we did it. And the protocol was like, all right, you usually will give God reference, you'll give the pulpit reference, and you're going in. So it'd be like, well, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. And you would reference the pastor and the speaker that's here. We want to, and God has been so good. Hasn't he been good? And that person would go off, or that person might say something crazy, or that person might stand up and start singing and can't. It would be funny. Especially as a kid, you would be halfway getting in trouble. But the testimony service was basically a moment of opportunity where people got to contribute and be a part of the service. People in the audience. And the other thing is they would actually give their story on what God has done. And I thought it was it just dawned on me. I have so many stories and so many people that have stories. And if you're listening to me, you have a story. Believe me, you have a story. You have moments of enlightenment, moments that things has happened to you. And first, what I want to do, get Miss Deidre ready, and she's going to be here with me for sure. And I want to just say hi to Miss Deidre. She's been such a help, amazing help with me with this, encouraging, and a contributor throughout this journey. And so, Miss Deidre, I'm just saying thank you. Right?
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. And also, Miss Deidre is really experiencing some. She's experiencing some in her African spirituality. She's going through a lot of, I guess, levels, but really she's going through a lot of different initiations and different things, and she's growing in it. And I think that's cool. I wanted to, that's another part of her, right? I think we all have. And so you looking very Nubian, very magical. There was a guy, he explained it I'm gonna have to, but it was really neat. He really explained. It was abracadabra, and he was talking about what those actual words mean, and because it's supposedly that guy was really magical. But anyways, um, we have some other people that we're gonna bring on, and Miss Deidre, if you ever want to comment or questions or anything like that, you're gonna be with me this evening, okay? We're gonna
Okay,
co-host this
sounds good.
together, and the reason why I brought up a little bit of her story, I want she could think about some more in her story, in that um and when just things that a person, and what you can really say you've been overcome by, and but there's some things like that with Miss Holly, who is going to be, I'm gonna bring on first. She has a really neat story, and we talked earlier this week, and she wasn't sure, and I told her a few things, and she was like, "Wait a minute." It's funny because it's almost like, "Wait a minute, is that easy?" Okay, yeah. And so she had just how I knew her, or how I essentially met her, and she got to meet Bishop. And but anyways, I'll let her get a little bit into that. And so we'll welcome here Miss Holly. Hey,
Hey.
thank you so much for coming by, just to share a little bit about your journey and your story. You know, one of the things that, just to jump this off real quick, you know, tell me, or tell us, like, when you came into contact with Bishop Pearson, right? Met however you've seen him, because I believe you've seen him maybe online or seen him somewhere before you actually went to Dallas and met him, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tell me about that. Like, what happened when you met him? Was it on the internet, or
when I was introduced to him?
Yeah.
Initially when I stumbled across him on YouTube. This was after he'd left the church and started doing his shows at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think you got, what was it? Was you doing a search, or what? Like, how did that happen?
I'd gone through this period where I started studying the dark stuff, conspiracy theories. I was kind of in that mode. And then it shifted, because I spent quite a lot of time studying the darkness.
Was you in church before?
I was born into my father was Church of Christ.
Yeah.
But I rejected that from the start.
Did you?
Even as a little girl.
Did they like that?
No, didn't.
How old were you when you rejected it?
I mean, so I rejected it from the time I can remember, honestly. I would ask questions that the response was always, "That's just the way it is," you know? And my father would get upset with me. But it never took it never took. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I also had kind of a split life. One, I was with my dad half the time, and I would go back and forth between parents. So like, we split realities, really.
How was that? Was your mom religious?
No.
Wow.
So I would go back and forth between the two. And when I was with my father, it was church 3 times a week, without fail. And then when I was with my mother, it was a lot of neglect and just, absence. She was there, but she was not there. So needless to say, I ended up running away at a very young age, at 15. And so I don't know. I was always a truth seeker. I was always reading poetry books and buying religious books. And one of the things I never told my dad, though, whenever I was still on my own, buying books, spiritual books, in my head, I would hear, and I always envisioned God as being black. I never told my dad that, but it helped me not reject him as much, or
Wow.
dislike him as much, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And that actually came from my time in Louisiana in Black culture. So I was, when I was with my mother, I was in Louisiana, and my school was predominantly Black. My teachers, were Black. My favorite teacher was Black. And the chaos in my home and the slurs in my home, there
Yeah.
literally, they had people, they had maids and things that took care of us. My mother was just really absent in every sense of the word. And there was alcoholism and abuse and all that stuff. So what I was seeing and what I was experiencing in Black culture at school with my teachers was like a sense of authentic love
Mhm.
that I wasn't getting, and then I was hearing these slurs, which
At
made me
home.
disrespect the people in my home even more.
Mm.
So, I became more protective of Black culture. And I would hear when I would have to read whatever, when I even willingly read books
Mhm.
that were spiritual in nature, I would hear a Black man's voice.
Mm.
It made me pay attention. It made me want to read it. I couldn't envision him being white. I couldn't.
Mm.
I just never told my dad, right? And my father's still unaware of that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, anyway, whenever I forget where I was, but
Okay.
I found Terrence McKenna. He
Mhm.
was one of the first people I found when I was researching and, YouTubing and all of that kind of thing. So, Terrence McKenna, if you don't know who he is, he was a I don't know how you say it, ex-botomist.
Mhm.
I don't know how you say it, but he was also a mystic and an advocate for psychedelics and like
Mhm.
consciousness, exploring
Mm.
consciousness, right? So through him is what led me to Carlton, ironically, on YouTube. And
Really?
yeah, I don't know how so it'll give you
Yeah.
what you're searching. It'll have things underneath. This was many years ago, and this was
Yeah.
right after he started. This was right after he started doing his shows at home.
Yeah. So 2000, that's probably like 2011.
13 or something. I want to say
11,
13.
13 was he started in 11. So by
Yeah.
2013, it was on and going.
I want to say that's when I'm really bad with dates, but I want to say it was around that
Yeah.
time.
It's early shows.
So, but when I found Carlton, let me just tell you, the seas parted and like everything made sense. Everything clicked. And at that point, I just I couldn't get enough of listening to him because all the rejection from my father, to this day, my father rejects me because I reject his religion. I mean, he will speak to me, but it's only if I reach out to him, and it's very brief. But his rejection of me, I tried to make sense of for such a long time. And there was no making sense of it because it doesn't make sense. His religion didn't make sense. The way he treated me didn't make sense. His rejection of me didn't make sense. But Carlton helped me make it make sense. He allowed me to say it just it does not make sense. It's never going to. So acceptance and clarity and freedom,
Where were you living? Because like it was like in Louisiana, and then your dad
Oh,
was
I was in
living
Dallas by this time.
Texas. Okay.
Yeah, I left Louisiana when I was, I think, in 7th grade or something like that. But I was always back and forth between West Texas and Louisiana, and then, then they moved. My mother and my stepfather moved back to Texas, and then I ran away at 15, so it didn't really matter. I was and I was in Dallas for like 35 years.
Oh wow. And so
Yeah.
that because
Until
so
COVID, and I came here to where I am now.
but
And I'm
so you were in Dallas, and then that's when Bishop you found out he was going to come to Dallas to speak.
So if you fast forward like through those years,
How many years?
I don't know, from 13, from
When you met him?
2013 all the way up till it was about 7 years ago that I met him. But between those times, whenever I discovered him, like through studying him is how I found Richard Rohr, Thomas Keating, Thomas Merton, Llewellyn Von Lee, Rob Bell, all these people. And it just like branched out, and I went crazy, and all I wanted to do was listen to lectures. That's all I did. That's all I did. I was just nerded out by myself all the time.
So you were doing you said dark. Were you talking about occult or are you talking about pagan?
No, I'm just talking about someone had introduced the word Illuminati to me and I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
And so whenever I started researching that, it led me down this really dark rabbit hole, which led me to all this other understanding of what the world was really,
Yeah. We
what
call
was
that,
really going on
a
in the
lot of that
world.
is called that would lead to the occult, OOCULT.
It was just a lot of really dark information that I was unaware of, but it was reality.
Yeah.
All the things that I think, you know, I don't know, I don't really know how to explain it other than a lot of people still live in that state of
Okay.
understanding of the world. But once you start to go, oh, damn, that's really not
There's
what
a
it
lot of
is.
truth. There's a lot of truth in it.
So it was a very dark, deep rabbit hole that just kept going. But I'm glad I learned those things because I don't think I
Yeah.
would have a true understanding of the light without knowing the dark, right?
Yeah.
I've experienced the dark in many ways. I mean, I've lived in the I've done lots of things in my life. Been through lots of addiction and all sorts of different darkness.
Yeah.
But I've definitely always had a light as well, and so I've definitely come out on the other end of that. And yeah, I owe so much to Carlton Pearson. Because literally my life changed when I found him. And then if you want to know how I actually went to meet him was a friend of mine who would always come into work to see me when I used to bartend in Dallas. We started riding bikes together, and we also had the same interest in the same books. And so I introduced him to Carlton Pearson, and he introduced me to biking. And one time he said, "Hey, Carlton's going to be in Grapevine at the Unity Church." And I was just like, no way. So you'd have thought it was Prince or Jesus himself because I got there 2 hours early. I'm not kidding. I listened to all the rehearsals. I was right up front, right? And when he came in and walked past me, I was just, I mean, literally, and then afterwards, we went to the back, bought books and had him sign it. And I wanted so badly to tell him how much he meant to me.
Oh.
But I couldn't bring myself to talk. I said I wasn't going to cry, Mally.
That's okay. That's what
How
we're here
I
for.
get all emotional about him. But,
Well, because the show is talking about an enlightenment moment in our journey.
yeah,
And the thing is what you are here on this show. Oh, I was right next to him, and you're here because of that.
right.
And so,
Well, I followed him very closely, and so I was, I online indirectly, I know he kind of knew, I was aware of me. I don't think he put it together that I was who I was whenever I showed up, which is okay because I know that now he knows. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, you said he was like what your father didn't do, or what your father was doing. You really felt that within yourself, like, kind of like a father.
Definitely.
When you think about that, because to me, that's an enlightenment, right?
When he died, it was just like, I don't really know. I mean, I talked to you a lot after that. And it was like he replaced my father, and he was that voice. He was that voice in more ways than one. He was the vision, he was the voice, and he was the message.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it was very intense. And when he died, I mean, well, you know how much I cried. I still cry. But I feel like whenever he died, I'd come to, because all the ebbs and flows of my spiritual journey has been very, I go through periods where all I want to do is study and write and listen to lectures. and that's all I care about. And all my friends think I'm crazy and weird, you know, which I am, which that's great. I love it. I wouldn't want to be any other way at this point in my life. But and then I'll hit a place where I think I'm becoming an atheist, or you know, and it's just like this. Um, but now when Carlton died, it came back, and I was like, no, I'm not an atheist, because when I thought I was becoming an atheist, I was unhappy about that. I didn't like how it felt. I was like, I don't want to be an atheist. But you know, you just continue to grow and you continue to evolve. And through that evolving, I've been an atheist for a little bit. And now I'm at a point where I don't need a label. I don't even need to talk about it. I don't need to do anything. I don't need an identification. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally at a place where it's like, it's sometimes hard for me to even discuss spirituality, just because I hope it comes back. I miss being manic about it because I have been very manic about it at times, you know, like obsessed with it. And then it goes away and I'm like, oh no, I don't like that feeling. And then there's times where I'm at peace with it, but I actually really like it better when it's with me, when I'm feeling manic about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, after tonight, I'll guarantee you there's going to be something different that happens.
Yeah.
Because I understand that as we bottle up in these experiences that we have, and we don't put those out to the universe, one of the things about testimony services is like, one of the greatest things that can happen to a company is whenever they have a great product and someone gives them a review. And then it's an eyewitness. It's a person that says, this worked for me. And the thing about transformation and the thing about this spiritual journey that I know is, after you get so full of it, the reason why you feel that way, you get so full and then you don't have nowhere to put that energy, because that energy and this light and enlightenment, it will, if it doesn't force its way out of you, right, it will get you into a state where you will be questioning. In other words, being able to communicate and talk and to write. And because think about it like this too. Imagine if, let's say, Bishop never actually made a video, never penned anything. Imagine if all the people you've ever read had never penned the book. Their experience on this planet would not be here for us to actually be able to build off of it. So the ancient text of the scriptures, or the ancient text of any book, is just it's a living history of what people may experience or have experienced on the planet. And the beauty and the curse of history is, if you don't know it, then it can repeat and you can have some things you don't. And so one of the things that I want to honor you for is just being you and your story and coming on here. The other thing is, it is okay that it's more than okay. I think it's highly important to identify the fact that you are who you are, and you come in this shell, right? And one of the most powerful, I heard it today, that one of the most powerful people in the United States is the white female, in terms of the numbers and what they do politically, right? And what they can do politically, right? It was white females, educated, that were off the charts compared to the uneducated white males, educated white males, and uneducated white females.
Like, I'm uneducated.
Right. Even though you fit in that bucket, right? So the thing is if we have more of the people that are in that bucket of, quote, uneducated, meaning just no college. I would say probably no college degree, but you could still have some college. But the thing is like, it's important that, because a lot of the reason why the things go the way they go is because people, one, they don't speak out. There was even a time, when you think about it, that whenever someone was committing heinous acts of crime, and you developed the Underground Railroad and they had the blankets and all that, right? There was a strategic system that was developed amongst the community at a whole, right? And we are deeply in a space right now, in this country specifically, but in the world, where we need to have some kind of unity. We can bring forth the ideas or the understandings of the mistreatment of, let's say, women, or the mistreatment of marginalized people, Black people, Native Americans, whatever. We could bring those things up, but it's the unity that is going to actually change the shift the paradigm, right? And so, but I think it's beautiful, and I think your story of how you seen Bishop was beautiful, and I'm here to tell you that that was a wonderful, great. That's a. I don't know if you feel it, but that is an enlightenment. Like, if you think about where you are today, and you think about where you were 10 or 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and before that.
Oh, there's just a lot. There's so much to it. Like we were saying, it's like I could go into so many more details, but it's definitely it's been more than one enlightenment, though. It's been enlightenment after enlightenment after enlightenment after enlightenment.
Can you think of
And
anyone that was just like that hit you the hardest?
definitely Carlton Pearson hit me the hardest. I mean, but he was the catalyst for so many other things that opened up for me. So I will say this: when when I stopped listening to him, it wasn't because it was mainly because I moved on like
Yeah.
he wanted to. I moved on. I would come back just like I did last Saturday night, just to hear his voice and put him on while I was painting. I just put him on, just because I wanted to hear him and hang out with him. It's just me and my cats and my paints, But I mean, he led me to all of the other teachers who expanded my consciousness on so many different levels. And when I gave you the list, I gave you was the list within that
That
Richard
time
Rohr.
frame.
Well, Richard Rohr, Thomas Keating, Llewellyn Van Lee, Rubel, they're all kind of similar to Carlton.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying where Carlton really wanted to go with his message, but didn't, out of respect for his people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. We had those.
I'm saying I went on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I never let go of him as being my base.
Yeah.
He was the catalyst that took me beyond. So
that's beautiful.
I mean, I definitely went much further with my studies, and I like I said, I could probably, well, I didn't make notes for that.
It's okay. Hey,
but
you'll have more than an opportunity.
You're doing it here on this show.
You have more than an opportunity, and you'll have to stop through on a Saturday when we really go deep into this and laugh and cry. And of course, Deidre, like, what are your comments? We have to have a comment, or if you have any questions for Miss Holly.
No, I love Miss Holly. Holly and I have we had bonded maybe about a year ago now, almost.
Something like that.
Over all the passionate thing. We are passionate about a lot of the same things,
political
just
stuff,
organically. Absolutely. And every time I hear somebody speak about Bishop, it just reaffirms what a transformational person Bishop was in so many ways. And Holly, you're out there, and like I said, you're doing exactly, you said, I'm going farther. And that was what he wanted. He wanted all of us to go farther, even if he had never really encountered any of us. He knew who he was. he knew his audience, but he knew there was more work to do. And so, Holly, you've gone through a lot. You went through the strict religion, the strict religious ties of the Church of Christ. I'm familiar with that very well. You found your voice. You, during that journey of the rejection from family and stuff, how did you find your center, and did you find friends? Did you just get comfortable being alone?
Mhm.
What did you do to help yourself navigate through that?
I found drugs.
Hmm.
I found drugs from a very young age, and off and on, that was my escape, and that was my my tool that got me through the very, very deep, dark times where I had no one to help me, and I could hide it. I was a very high functioning drug addict, and I hung out with the rich, famous type drug people, so it was okay, right?
Say
Made it
less. I
okay.
understand.
You know what I'm saying? Somehow I justified it. But either way, it was there for me. And it did get me through some very crazy things that I would not, I felt like I would have ended up in an institution, honestly.
Are you talking about when you say drugs too? Of course, there's all kinds of drugs. Can you say like if like cannabis or
Oh, no. Very hard.
Okay.
Hard drugs.
hard stuff?
We'll just leave it at that.
Anyways, what I was curious of, because what's interesting is, like, of course you have hard stuff, but then there's all different studies that are going on where people have had transformation based on, now it's more clinical, you know,
Yeah.
versus it being, because it's just interesting when I hear you say that it actually helped me, even though it was hard and some of it was bad.
I'll just tell you this. I was sober for 10 years. Never, ever thought I would touch a drug ever again. Something happened where when I went through my divorce, where they came and actually took my daughter and didn't bring her back. And I went through years of fighting this situation. And at one point, I just remember thinking I was going to go into a very dark hole and not come out. So I strategically decided to make that phone call because I knew it would keep me going. I knew it would cut off my emotions and I wouldn't go into a dark place. So I did it specifically to continue so that I could keep working and cut off my emotions and make it through that. And it worked. Now, did I go back down for like another 4 years where I was literally unable to function without this drug? Yes. Did people know? No. Well, maybe some, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, I've pulled myself out of each time that's happened alone. I pulled myself out by myself and sobered myself up
Wow.
without,
How do you think?
and it
How
happened
did you do
multiple
that?
times from the time I was 15 on throughout my life. I would have to leave Dallas and I'd go somewhere else, and I just knew I had to do it. And when I had my daughter and everything, like I wasn't going to do drugs around her or anything.
Good.
Whenever I had my daughter, that was a different time. I was sober for that 10 years. And then, anyway, and then I went for 4 years and then I was fine after that. But all I'm saying is, and it happened, before I had my daughter, there were multiple times that I'd sobered myself up,
You got strong willpower.
I'm just saying that that's very uncommon, especially for the drug that I was using. So.
Well, yeah, I think I thank you for your vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would never admit that publicly,
Well,
but I think it also goes to the fact of people understanding just how deep religious trauma, religious pain, and that friction, how much of a toll it can take on a human spirit.
Yeah. Well, so my trauma and all of that wasn't just religious. There was all sorts of other trauma that I came from in terms of my childhood. Yeah. So it was a combination of a lot of things. But I mean, the trauma with my father and the church and all of that still to this day hurts me very, very badly. But I've numbed it out. He doesn't even want anything to do with my daughter or her child. So it's like I've come to a point where it doesn't hurt anymore. I don't feel anything. So I don't know how I dealt with it. Maybe it's still in there. And that does concern me because now I have some things that are happening in my body that I feel like are a result of stuffing things that I'm not allowed to express.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of the journey of expanding consciousness, because we can find ways and techniques and things we can do to release that,
Right.
even if we can't deal, like if we're going to be no contact people, there are still ways that we can find healing on this journey. And that's the beauty of it, because we don't have to subscribe to any one system of belief to get through it. We find what works for us, and we navigate, and we blossom, and we thrive.
Yeah. And I have found that freedom. I guess I don't know. I know I have some work to do. I still have work to do. I have a lot of work to do, but I still have found a freedom and a security in my spiritual understanding of God. I don't need anybody's opinion about it. I don't need to prove anything. I don't want, this is why I'm here, because I don't have to do that here with you.
That's right. That's right.
You're more than enough.
Yeah.
You're more than enough. I so appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part.
You're welcome.
And I don't, what I've discovered is the minute that we feel we're getting it, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true.
But we do, but I know that we can reach a moment or a point where we do know something, and in the minute that we get to the synchronicities, right, between who you are and what you're trying, what your path and your journey, and then when it meets that opportunity, right, and that's the whole point of this, honestly, is because as long as, like, it's more than about one person or me, or just, and Bishop even said that, just the same old stuff where we have the person, they talk and they do all that. And I believe expanded consciousness it's about all of us. It's about the community, and it's about all of us growing. And over the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a lot of people coming to contact with this kind of information. And you've been blessed to be in that shell. I've been blessed to be in this shell. I've been in you talk about certain drugs, but I've been in experiences where you can look at your skin and be like, oh man, I literally felt like I decided to come here in this. This is a really neat, this is really cool. Like to come here and have the challenge of being Black, right? Just because of the oneness and understanding that there's a deeper oneness, right, that we cannot understand because of so many different issues we have that has divided us and still yet divides us as humanity. And the weird thing is the powers that be, they have more power when there is division. That's the reason why most campaigns are sold on division. They act like it's not. They act like the person that brings up the fact that you're saying something that's crazy, they want to try to reverse it on you. But you are amazing, and I'm thankful for you to be here with us. Right? I look forward for you to write more. And when you went through that process, real quick, so when you went through that process this week, I talked to you about it. We just briefly, I'm not gonna cover it up, but I was using some tools and techniques that I know, right, when I talk to you.
To get me to do it.
Did it work?
Yeah.
How did it feel?
What's really crazy is like, what are you talking about when I started writing? Yeah, it worked. I mean, like, it took the focus off of me, because that's where I have a problem. I also have, some learning disabilities, and I don't know exactly what you would call them, but I've always had it since I was a kid. So there's this disconnect between my brain and the pen. And then there's all the trauma on top of, and the PTSD and all the things, so there's just these blocks that come up that won't allow me. So when I get with chat, it was like this freedom. And then I realized all the things that people tell me that I have such a hard time accepting when it comes to compliments or like encouragement. And it's like, but Holly, but you should do that, but you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, okay, well, I have no excuse. Like when I started talking and I realized, oh my God, I have a lot.
Mhm.
I have a lot.
Is your duty
And
or
I have to allow
responsibility?
myself to say that out loud and believe it. And I do. It's just that it's a lot. And I think I could help people with my story.
Absolutely. It's actually a duty and responsibility, and your freedom in this life is being a co-creator.
Yeah.
And what happens is all the issues that you have, right,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't work for you, that's great. Okay. We're going to compartmentalize that, and we're going to say that individual person is there. But then whenever it's time for you to put put on what God has for you as you in you, that means that's a separation. We're going to that's duality. So we're going to unseparate, and we're going to say, I'm going into God mode, and now you're going to become one with, right? I'm going to move myself out the way. Have you ever seen Burchard?
Yeah. I don't know what I think. I don't know what I think about him.
It's interesting, to say the least, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mystic.
I mean, I hear you.
It's interesting, but he moves himself. But there's a thing in the sense that whether he's doing it on purpose or not, he's still moving himself out the way.
And he makes sense.
And I'm gonna bring this in. Become your own Burchard, because you can. In other words, I'm not saying you're gonna tap into some alien nature or whatever else, but I'm saying that if they say that we are divine and we have something in us that is within God, the only thing that's keeping us from having these moments of clarity and being able to be that way is all this stuff, these baggages and these things that we carry on that are technically lies.
Yeah, that we tell ourselves about ourselves.
And all those are lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way, I think, in order to really move into that space is being able to shake it off in terms of being like, you know what? All right. I'm going to now put on this, because we all put on these costumes, right? We all put on this when we go out to work, we do things. We all put on quote unquote costumes.
Yeah, definitely.
So put on the costume that you are divine, you are whole, and God can work through you, in you, as you, for someone else that may be out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so this was really cool. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Deidre. She's back here just producing her butt off. Like there's this coming here. There was a comment that I think you need to see. So someone had mentioned, where was it? The Artsy had mentioned that they had something similar.
I can't see the comments.
I started for you, Malachi. It's up there now. You want me to put it on
here
there?
You go. You might not see it, but it says, wow, my journey began like that too. Conspiracies, Pizzagate, rabbit holes.
Yeah.
There's so many right now. Ooh, Deidre and I had a brief talk today. And what was the subject?
Spiritual psychosis.
Spiritual psychosis. So there's spiritual psychosis, but there's also spiritual ego. So what happens is, in this quote unquote spirituality space, right? Because there's a difference between consciousness and spirituality, right? Consciousness and religion, spirituality, microphone, my face, the color of who I am. That would be in the consciousness space. That's qualia. Qualia is the red that I'm conscious of. But consciousness is all of it. Like it's all of it. But awareness, first level of consciousness. But we can go beyond belief, right? And that's from that belief is knowing, and knowing is remembering, and remembering is everything is in you as you, right? So I need you to develop that alter ego, right? That spiritual, divine, I'm coming here to do what I'm supposed to do on this planet before I exit out, right? And just put that on, like, oh, time to put it on. That's the reason why, too, some of us have altars in our houses.
I do.
Right. So what's the point
I
of
do
the
too.
altar in the house? What's the point of going into that? Because you're actually putting on that people have vestments. So you put on that vestment, you put on that thing to, I have cloaks, my scarves, I call them cloaks. And you put those things on as a symbol, right? As something that I'm going into this space, and it's okay. So look for more things to come into your life, right? That way. What is Miss Dana saying? I love Miss Dana. Whatever there is to behold around us as we take our next breath, it is meant to be in our journey. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, Miss Rose, one day we're gonna have to have Miss Rose come on and talk too. Like the next testimony service I have, we'll have to have you on there for sure. And it's so good to see you, Miss Amy. So good to see you, Miss Amy. And this was one of my friends and previous clients, Miss Charlotte. Yes, thank you so much. That's so beautiful. All right. So I'm gonna keep it moving, and you can stay here, Holly, and still watch it.
It's okay. Yeah, you can go ahead and take me off.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna bring up another person that I think is gonna be real special for us. Real special. And so I think I think she may have a little bit of wisdom. She's just now, getting out of school and starting this journey. No, I'm joking. It's going to be beautiful, but y'all just go ahead and say hello to Miss Gwen.
Hello, everyone. Y'all bear with me because I'm holding this. Is this not working in the case? It's working now, Coach. So thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully if it is, hopefully it's comfortable enough for you to hold it, because if it starts getting too deep and we have to shout or dance or something like that, then just put it down.
We'll be upside down.
Miss Gwen, I'm so thankful for you, for being a part of this. I'm thankful for your voice on the Saturdays. It means a whole lot. And Deidre can also, she would also feel the same way. And that is when you say something to us, when you say that we done wonderful, or when you say I got something out of that, that counts for like at least 50 people. One comment from you.
Well, thank you. And likewise, we all learn from each other. We all are a part of this journey together. And so it's an honor and it's a privilege to be here. And I want to thank you for this opportunity. And I'm going to let Spirit lead me. How about that?
That works for us. That works for us. So there might be times where you might not see us, but I just won't, because I'll pull it down because I want to bring centered focus on what you got to say. But with you have been on this journey for some time. And briefly tell us just a little bit, because I don't want to go sometimes we can go too deep into the religious stuff and what we experienced. And sometimes we need some enlightenment, if you will, right? What is Spirit doing now and how is it working in your life? You have been in the hospital a couple of times. You had, you realized that, or had an understanding that you were overcoming just a a transformation of being afraid of foul birds and things like that. I think that's amazing that you can have something in your life and you have a fear, and through this process, right, you can begin to overcome. So much of us think about spirituality and we think about the big awakening moments, not thinking like, you know what, I used to not want to do this and I needed to do this. I used to be afraid of this and now I'm no longer afraid of this, right? And I think that's beautiful. But tell us just a little bit about your story and where you essentially, like, especially whenever it comes to coming into this expanded consciousness and spirituality space.
Well, as Holly shared with us in most of our testimony with expanded consciousness, first I have to give honor to Bishop Carlton Pearson. I would not start this without saying I give honor to him. I started watching Carlton Pearson way before expanded consciousness as a Christian, being born again. And all we heard of was Azusa Street and all the, all the religious things. And then came the moment when he began to teach about inclusion. And we were all told, and I'm not going to go deep into it, but we were all told to get rid of all his stuff, that he was demonic, he had lost his mind, he was a heretic. And I did all that. I got rid of everything because you're doing what you're told to do by your leaders because you have to be obedient to your leaders. That's what we were taught. So in doing all that for years, I was away. And in the beginning of my deconstruction to my transformation, it really started when my husband died. That began my transformation. Or let me back up. That deconstruction, because it was because of my husband's loss that made me really begin to question this whole thing, because I was taught as a Oneness Pentecostal that my husband wasn't going to be in the rapture. And so I decided I wasn't going to preach again. I was angry at God. I didn't want anything to do with it. So for years, I walked away. And then I tried coming back to the church with one disappointment after another until 2020. Bishop Carlton Pearson and Facebook. And the first time I seen him come live, I went on and I'm like, wow. And it just was amazing. And I didn't know anything about Coach Malachi then, because in the beginning, we didn't see Coach. He was really in the background. And a couple different times I was convicted because I'm like, well, suppose I'm wrong. I mean, after all, they said this man's a heretic. Then I began to say, the heck with it. 2020 was the year of exposure and also of revelation. And as I began to watch him every week, week after week after week, my whole life began to change. And I began to say, God did not give me a spirit of fear. So I'm not going to fear. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm willing to take that chance because this doesn't work for me anymore. Religion just doesn't work. So I began to allow myself to grow spiritually and let go of religion. And I'm so glad that I did.
Mm. Mm.
I'm so glad that I did.
Mm.
Because my life has never been the same since 2020. And let me add, for everyone who knew me in 2020, COVID almost took me out of here. I was really sick. And there was times as I laid in my bed, I didn't think I would live. And I was like, God, just don't let me go to hell. This was in the middle of all this. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't believe like that anymore. So anyhow, let's go forward. Let's move forward. Coach Malachi began to be on Carlton Pearson's live, Bishop Carlton Pearson's lives. And then Carlton Pearson, we found out he wasn't on for a while. I knew something wasn't right. And then all of a sudden we found out that he was sick. And the more and more I watched, even as Coach came on and different people he would have come on the platforms, the more and more I found that I had changed. And just like that woman who used to be afraid of birds, and I had to bring this in here now, all of my life, From the time I can remember being chased into a dark atticway with a feather, I was petrified of anything with feathers. And in the process of going through my reconstructive surgery back in on May the 16th of 2024, and again, all this ties in together, and recognizing that in order to be able to expand, you must first hurt. Because see, my foot had to be reconstructed so I could begin to walk normally. So many of us are so broken emotionally, spiritually, that we have to go through that pain and that hurt. We have to be willing to lose in order to gain. We have to be willing to be broken in order to be healed. And so in the process of all this, it took me to lose my husband in order for me to find myself, in order for me to be able to deconstruct from everything I had known as a child, to be able to be transformed and no longer conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of my mind, no longer being connected to this matrix, government, politics, religion, all of it, racism, all of it. We have to be willing to let it all go. We have to be willing to die to this flesh, meaning the way we were taught. In order to really be born again of the water and of the spirit, you've got to go through that born again experience. And that's the hurting part. But boy, when you get on the other side of it, and when you can, at 70 years of age, walk past geese, when you were afraid of a little bird, he said he gave us dominion over what? The sea and the fowls of the air. I mean, the fowls, right? Is not a bird, a fowl. When I realized that I had to put that fear aside of that, then I knew I was free. See, greater love had no man than this, to what? A man laid down his life for his brethren. And what does the Bible say about fear? The greatest gift that we have is love. And love, perfect love, perfect love, perfect love, loving yourself, cast away all fear. And you will begin to find there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Nothing to fear but fear itself. There's nothing to fear because I begin to love Gwendolyn. I begin to love the God in me. For God is a spirit. Man is a spirit, living in a body, having an earthly experience. And when you begin to realize that you don't have the spirit of fear, but that of love, love of self, you begin to love humanity. There is nothing to fear, right? You have that power. Now you have that power. If I have that power, and if no weapon formed against me can prosper, then what do I have to worry about? I don't have to worry about no geese. Now I can walk past them geese. And let me tell you, that is a miracle in and of itself. And I'm going to share something later on when I can. I can't share it now. But when I tell you that a seagull made me leave my granddaughter in a stroller. Now, we weren't by ourselves. I was with a group of people, group of friends that I used to work with. But when that seagull swooped down over my shoulder and got that funnel cake, I ran down that boardwalk like a fool, like a fish-eye fool. And they said, oh, don't worry about her. She just didn't take her meds today. When I tell you I used to fuss at birds behind closed doors that couldn't even reach me, I have been transformed and I have nothing to fear in this world. And I am so grateful for expanded consciousness. I'm so grateful for Coach Malachi. He is our legacy from Bishop Carlton Pearson, that I can really take all these years of everything I've been through and let this wisdom didn't come without a price, y'all. Knowledge is one thing, but wisdom is when you can take the knowledge you have and apply it to your own life. That love will make you forgive people, and it's not even an effort. Why? Because love is God and God is love. And if God is a spirit and the word became flesh and dwelt among man. What is the word? Who is the word? God. God is in me, and in God I live, and in God I move, and in God I have my total being. So I am God manifested in the flesh, doing the work that God sent us to do. You are also. We got to tap into that God power that's on the inside of us and be like that raven that flies above the sky. Above, up there. He soars. He sees everything, but he soars above. But be like that eagle. Take them wings and keep on moving. That's where I feel that I'm at. I'm a little bit nervous on here, and I don't know why, because I can talk. But I just want you to get it. The greater one lives on the inside of you. Step out. Step out into the deep. Launch out into the deep. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. I got your back. Your brothers and sisters have your back. What is there to fear? I'm going to continue to grow in grace and in knowledge. And as long as I live, I will continue to allow myself. This is just the beginning for me. I will have my book finished. I'm almost done. I'm working on it. Thank God for AI, because it is a big help. But if there's any questions, please come forward. That's about the gist of it. Again, I was a church baby. My father wasn't a pastor, but I was in church all my life. And I used to say, what is this thing we call church? Because everything that I was taught, I wasn't seeing it done. So you can say it even started in childhood. But now I'm no longer a babe. I'm full grown and mature. These 70 years have been a mixture of joy and pain. But after the rain comes what? The sunshine. And we have to have the night in order to get the day. And we have to have the sun in order to see the moon, right? The day brings the sun and the moon brings the night. We need that. What happens in darkness? We were in our mother's womb in darkness. And then there became light, right? We grew in darkness for 9 months. We were in darkness. We were in the valley. But boy, oh boy, when you're born again and when that sun begins to shine, the joke is over. It's only just begun. And I've only just begun to live. Now I'm ready for some questions.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm gonna hit you with some questions. But so throughout this journey, what was the feeling? Did you ever get rejected from other individuals that thought you were crazy?
Absolutely.
How did you get through that?
Well, by allowing myself to deal with what I had to feel, the hurt, the rejection, and I just learned to accept it. And when I heard Mel, I think her name was Mel Robbins, when she said, "Just let them." You have to let it, and you have to let them, and you have to be willing to accept the things you cannot change. And that's when I used to say, "God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom and the knowledge to know the difference, and begin to do it." So it really was just a day by day. And you'll find that what you lose, you gain so much more. Whoever is not willing to grow with you, it's okay. It's all right. And I learned not to be judgmental. And we also had to learn that in this way of expanded consciousness, look, at one time I'd have been like, these folks crazy. I ain't going to hell with them. I rejected it myself at first. So because I had rejected it in the beginning, because that's what I was taught, all this was witchcraft, all this was of the devil, then I had to learn to be understanding. And I also had to learn to accept not everybody will embrace or accept it. So really, it's just a matter of accepting it and be willing to lose whatever. It's okay, because what I lose, I gained so much more. So yes, I've dealt with the rejection. I've dealt with people delete me off of Facebook. People saying, "You don't believe God anymore?" Absolutely, I do. You don't believe in Jesus anymore? Absolutely, I do. But I believe differently than I did. I have now the Christ consciousness, and that's the difference. But willing to just accept. And yes, it was hurtful, but you know what? How many of us know that you will heal? You have to deal with what you feel in order to heal. And just like my therapist told me when I was complaining about that cast that I had on for 7 weeks, and I said, I don't know why I had to have this cast on so long. She said, Gwendolyn, in order for your bones to heal properly. Well, sometimes in order for us to heal, we have to lose. We have to let go because we can't take everything with us. And when you get to that point of accepting that, it's all good.
That's powerful. What is it that you do now to maintain, manage, and know that you are connecting to to the divine?
Oh, wow. Meditation, first and foremost, getting alone, being quiet, um, not allowing vampire energy. And I'm going to have to use that word. And yes, I watch Sinners, but you cannot afford to allow other people's energies into that space and into that circle because it will drain you of what you're trying to do. So there's certain people I don't talk to anymore. There's certain people that I don't talk to as often. A lot of the times my phone is not even with me. I don't even know where it's at. It's in this house somewhere. A lot of times I'm in do not disturb. So that's how I'm dealing with it, by cutting off and going within and really seeking the God that's within me, seeking spirit, being led. That's how I'm doing it. I have to spend that time because if not, you're distracted and you can't stay focused. So that's how, and also coming on Thursdays and Saturdays and, you know, watching other people who have expanded, who are further than I am. That's what I do. I feed myself those things now because if you want to feel different, and if you want to look different, you had to put the right things in your body for the health. You had to put the right things in your spirit, and you had to put the right things in your mind. Your mind is your biggest battleground. And that's when you can begin to be transformed, when you begin to do those things. But you had to be willing to let some of those things go. And I know for anyone that's watching, I'm sorry that I can't answer the phone a lot of times. No, I'm not sorry. I take that back. I had to put Gwendolyn first. For once in my life, I had to be selfish with myself and for myself. So I take that back. I have to do what I have to do for me. And you also had to do what you had to do for you.
Come on now. Come on. You speaking wisdom, setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries. That's what I do too. I set them boundaries.
Setting boundaries. Well, we have to set boundaries in order to, that's part of self-love. Most people think about, they get confused with self-love and self-care. And they think that, the self-care, going to go get, a pedicure or something like that. That's self-care, which can be good for your soul, good for your body, your mind, whatever. But those things like setting boundaries and taking care of yourself, literally doing those things you don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you talked about answering the phone. There was a time that we had landlines and you couldn't get to the phone, and it was understood that you wasn't going to get to the phone instantly. And now that we have phones attached to our hips,
Mm-hmm.
we have the feeling that we have to always be there. And now, of course, we deal with social media, right? But that's beautiful, setting boundaries. So meditation, you do meditation. You have found that meditation provides you what?
Oh, meditation, it just, to me, it opens you up to a place of really having that discernment. And I'm finding something else, like it's like things just begin to happen. Like today, I had no idea. Once I couldn't find my great grandfather's grave, I had no idea where to even look. And I made a left-hand turn and I ran right into it.
Yep.
I find that everything, the answers just automatically come. I can't explain it, but it just works. In doing this, it works. What you need, the answers come to you. Or through a person. The signs. It's just such an amazing time in my life right now. Even with this, with everything that I'm going through, physically, and I find that the right doctor will come along. The right answers will come. The right people will come. And before I forget to say this, learn how to say one 2-letter word. N-O with an explanation. Learn how to say no. That's part of them boundaries. I wanted to say that in the other, but I had to say that now. You got to learn how to say no. And guess what? I don't owe you an explanation. I don't care whether you like it. There's certain places I'm just not going to go, and there's certain things I'm just not going to do. And one thing you can't do that you may have been able to do, and I may have been a part of it years ago, you can't come to me with gossip. I don't care who's doing what. I don't care how they did it, and I don't care who they did it with. I don't want to know. And the last thing you're going to get me to do is say anything about it. So quit wasting your time. And I know some of y'all watching me. So I'm saying this public now. Stop wasting your time. You got the wrong one. Gwendolyn, don't do the gossip thing anymore and talking about people. That stuff been gone. Because let he who is without sin, without error, without fault, or without wrong, let him cast the first stone. I don't think you can.
There's an energy, and most people don't get that when there's the energy, and there's an energy of negativity, if you will, or energy that doesn't vibrate that frequency, then that's where the boundaries come in. And I think you got the physical boundaries, but if you are doing things like meditation and doing your best to remember, I always like to say remember versus learn. What I believe, that energy comes to you and it comes upon you. But when you're talking about your meditation, I think so many people practice mindfulness, which is beautiful, that sometimes that doesn't allow individuals to go into meditative states or being able to really benefit deeply. And because you could start having clairvoyant moments, you could start having moments of where synchronicities and manifesting, and like you said, you kind of let go and was like, where that, I know it's around here, but you just kind of let it go and turn the corner, and
yes,
and it was right there. Recently, I know I've done it before. A friend of mine was trying to find his keys and looking and looking and looking, and he had in his heart, he knew what happened to them. But it was like, we were kind of joking about it, and he was like, well, what's that magic? You do that magic and let's manifest. I was like, well, first thing we do is just kind of just let it go. He was like, yeah. We kind of laughed about it, and he knew. And of course, the keys shown up based on what he originally said, right? And so being able to disconnect and not allowing the things to get us off balance, right? And there's so much. I sometimes I think also, Miss Gwen, is we don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't give ourselves, we could tear ourselves down so much. And I think like it, that the counting the small wins. And so that's what I was really getting towards with this evening, in terms of enlightenment, being able to have moments of enlightenment and know that enlightenment, it doesn't mean that you just all of a sudden becoming a guru. It's like being able to see something, feel something, and allow something. For instance, you and the fowl, the birds, and things of that nature. That's an enlightenment. Like, it never was going to get you, never was going to bother you, but you had to have a moment of clarity, and you had to have a moment of being able to allow this to happen in your life. I've been listening to quite a few different individual I'm really big, more deeper in metaphysical teachings. And one guy talks about the trauma bond. I was like, oh my God, the trauma bond. We got trauma-based therapies, trauma-informed this, trauma-informed that. And I know we're dealing with traumas. But the thing is in the metaphysical space, and one of the things that people can understand about metaphysics is like metaphysics, the way I see it, is it's like metaphysics in the world would be like outside of space and time.
Mm-hmm.
Physics is when we start putting a calculation to the meta, to the ideas, we put an idea to it. And then engineering and science is when we begin to pull from the resources of understanding, hey, there's a moon.
Yes.
Right? Metaphysics was like, hey, there's a moon. They was like, oh, that's what that is. Right? And then, wait, this moon has this does something. So the meta is we looking at it, seeing it, and saying maybe we could fly. And then breaking it down, it goes further and further until we begin to alchemize, or we begin to make it happen. Neil deGrasse Tyson said, science, God is something is, he says it like a person will believe that in God, or God does it until science figures it out. It was some kind of phrasing where he says, a person to put it in the God space until science figures it out.
Oh, wow.
But this person that I'm listening to, and he was talking about trauma bonds, and he was talking about this thing that, and I was like, you know what? We all inherit, we all have various traumas. And trauma is just basically a wound that, like a scar in the mind, or scar in the, right? And how do you heal those scars? On the outside, right, of us, we can fix those, but on the inside, religion is something that actually can attach to the trauma.
Yes.
And it constantly keeps you in the trauma. That's where we get religious trauma.
Wow.
But having like a bond to this trauma, that's why, there's certain times in my life, like I've been like shaking all that, in the sense of saying, you know what? I'm not claiming any of it. I am a healed individual, enlightened individual, moving into a space of knowing.
Yes.
A space of remembering, right? I'm not allowing that all the traumas that I know that were a part or are a part of life. No. When we move into this space that we know that's available, the divine that's available.
Yes.
We should be, everybody was, how you remember that song, To Be Like Jesus?
Yeah, I remember that song. Yes. I don't remember that, but I remember them saying, to be like Jesus.
All I ask is to be like
Jesus. Yeah,
I'm on my way from. They used to sing that, earth to heaven. All I ask is to be like him. It's like, how did you want to be like Jesus? You wanted to be like the image of Jesus, not necessarily like the consciousness. Let me stop.
Okay. So something that you said you decided that wasn't going to be a part of you, that trauma. You're right. We all, as they call them, generational curses. That's what we're taught. Well, you're snared by the words of your mouth, right? So, the power of life and death is in the tongue. Now, it may have been in our family line, certain trauma, certain generational curses, whatever you want to call it. But I call those things that may appear to be not as though they are, like, I am healed. I'm healed. I refuse to claim anything. My daughter said something to me last week. She said, I wanted to tell you, just because your mother died of cancer, that does not mean you're going to. And I said, you're absolutely right. I'm not claiming anything. It's not mine. I speak life. I speak prosperity. I speak abundance. I can do all things that I declare I can do. I can be what I say that I am, because I am everything that I say I am. See, I am everything, and everything is me. I am the salt of the earth. You are the salt of the earth. You are everything, and everything is you. And we can do all things that we declare, all things that we decide to do. It doesn't matter what comes at me, what may come, because guess what? Ain't no weapon that's formed against Gwendolyn and Corley Boy going to prosper. And that's just the way that it is. And you stand on that, because you have what you say and you are what you say. Now, if you speak negative, you have negative. I refuse to speak negative. And I'm finding that even yesterday, I had a phone call that I wanted to make because something disturbed me. And just as clear as day, leave it alone. I left it alone. And I've come a long way, because I'm going to tell you, they used to call me GB. GB is dead. Gwendolyn now lives. And so you have to speak those things that you want in your life. If you're speaking negative, expect to receive that. That's what you're going to get. So yes, there is trauma in our family, and they may have the trauma bond, but I don't have it. I broke that curse over me. And guess what? I break it over my seed. I speak that. And they shall be what they are supposed to be. And I will continue to say that.
Man, the words are so powerful, and we don't know it, right? As one of the things I would love that you do is you use, and I do the same thing, is people don't understand the ancient texts. The sacred scriptures, when used properly, to me, is when it's referring to, when you're looking at the text as information, right? And that information are words that have power, right?
Yes.
Versus the literal, right, adaptation or adoption of these words as it's impossible. It is impossible to take things from the Bible and bring it in today. You can take selected things and you can come up with ways that you may collectively say this is the way we're going to do it. But other than that, it's been translated too many times to be that. And then the other thing, even outside of the translating, you do everything but Leviticus, you know what I mean? You do everything but certain chapters and certain sections, right? But I still believe that what we still talking about it so many years afterwards, and I think the sacredness of the text is coming from the wisdom of the experience of the people that lived here as they discovered life, as they try to figure out life. And so we get to review, we get to actually have that. That's the whole point of history. I mean, in terms of like, when we look at history, is just, it's just to possibly reflect, but everything technically is in the now. So that now, that history is still, would be now, and the future would still be now. I know we're getting into quantum stuff and it'll start really getting confusing, but I so 100%, I so appreciate you 100%. I don't see any questions that are popping up here. We do have Sister Gwendolyn, thank you for sharing your heart with us. I'm telling you, you should, if you're part of the private community, Miss Gwen, she's one of my celebrity speakers that come on there. She's a rock star. I love to hear her. When you get into flow, right? When you get into flow, and that's coming from that sacred that meditation time that you've had. And most people do a lot of mindfulness. And mindfulness is beautiful. Being aware of the surroundings, being aware of this, being aware of that, calming down and going to bed. That's what I see as a lot of mindfulness. But when you get into a deep meditative state and you begin to change your body, there's ways that you can get into states where you begin to, it's epigenetics, getting involved with some Dr. Bruce Lipton stuff, but you could begin to change your body. You could begin to change what's happening, and you can begin to meditate, and you begin to just shift the whole energy. You can begin to jump timelines, as they say, and move into another space of this reality. And that's the thing about when we expand and we're looking to expand our consciousness, is that my thing is always beyond belief, right? Believe this, believe that, believe this, believe that. There's something that there's a difference between believing and knowing. I have I don't believe that's my wife on there. I was like, you need to put your wife on there one day. I have my phone right here. I don't believe my phone is right here. I know my phone is right here. How do I know my phone is right here? Because it's in my hand, right? So I know that my phone is here in my hand. I don't believe it. So how do I move into believing and knowing God?
Just do it. I mean, just do it. I mean, just do it. You have to have, again, let go of that fear, no matter what. It might be if it's going to be a clip and I fall over, I just fall over, but I'm going to take a chance and falling over. Just do it. You can't question it. You just have to do it. You have to move in faith.
Yeah.
Faith.
I also think there's evidence, or I think there's synchronicities. There's things that happen that we begin to know.
Absolutely.
Right? When I begin to, my deconstruction process was not like, oh my God, I need to deconstruct. I was a musician and I just wasn't completely sold on it. Because I ran the music, you do the music, we can get you jumping or we can do whatever. But I just wasn't completely sold on it. It just I never was so sold. I think more of it had to do with a fear of what other people would say, what other people would think, or if people would be, even right now today, there's situations where a person says, hey, I want you to come to church. Hey, why do you not want to? And it's like just handling me. It's not even the content that is in the church anymore. I moved from the content bothering me to colonization bothering me. Right. Or it's kind of annoying, although I could still do it, but it's like, man, we doing this colonized act, if you will. And I don't know how much is it working for us in terms of making a difference in our lives. It's making possibly some, but really making a transformative, being transformative in our lives. But I never had that deconstructing heavy heart. It was more of what people would possibly say or think if I came out. But now, and a person tells you, like, you don't believe, wait a minute, that's an error if you don't believe in hell. That's an error if you don't believe this. That's an error if you don't believe this about the Bible. And I am so comfortable. I am so firm in the fact that it's like this phone being bit in my hand. I am so firm. It's like this phone being in my hand that I know that most people don't have any idea of what they're talking about.
That is so very true.
They have no idea. If you just do a little bit of digging into the history of the church, the history of religion, just do enough digging, you will find, if you allow yourself to do it, because a lot of people won't allow. It's a cognitive. It's one of the dissonances. It's not even a cognitive, where you actually believe something so much. It's kind of what I think about a lot of the Trump supporters, major ones, where they believe in it so much that something within them won't allow them to actually accept the fact that this was a lie, or accept the fact that, wait a minute, this was wrong.
I think that has something to do with pride too. People just even though there's a part of them within themselves that know it doesn't feel right, and they're too prideful. And the thing about pride does go before destruction, and the Holy Spirit does go before a fall. And I've seen it happen countless of times. So that pride is what keeps you to your own demise. You're only hurting yourself. When you refuse, it's like going out into the middle of the road and a car's coming, you refuse to move. What's going to happen? You're behind getting hit, and you're going to eternity. So you have to be willing to move out of your own way. Sometimes we are our own worst. No, sometimes we are our own worst enemy. So everything you're saying, I absolutely agree with. I was afraid in the beginning of losing, because the bottom line is, coming up, you were in trouble if you didn't obey. If you went against the grain and you said something against it, you're gonna get bopped in your mouth if you
Right. Yeah, you just keep quiet. Yeah.
And you're going in the corner, and it's the same thing. And we don't want to lose people, but let's face it, even when we don't walk away when we should, we still end up hurting, we still end up losing. So what difference does it make? Take the chance and get out your own way. Let yourself, not just let them let you grow. Let you be willing to take that chance to lose. Don't care about who doesn't like you, or who's not going to like you anymore, and who knows what I used to be afraid to come out and say this kind of stuff, and right now I promise you, some people to see this, they ain't gonna deal with me enough. But it's okay. I'm good. I don't need you. Just like you don't really need me. I don't need you. I have everything I need in myself. I refuse to live in the shadow of someone else's expectations, or I got to be a teacher because my daddy was a teacher. My daddy wanted me to be a teacher. I got to be a preacher. That's where all that comes from. So we're afraid, but you can't be afraid. Fear is paralyzing, and you'll never move. So I think any of us that have been brought up to believe a certain way, we have to be willing to lose everything that we're familiar with. But it's okay, because greater things are ahead of you. Greater things are for you. And your latter shall be greater.
Come on. Woo, this has been, what a evening. There you go. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. You see that there.
You're so welcome. I thank you all.
Mrs. Marie. Oh, you kind of answered that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you answered that. That was about 20 minutes.
Let's put it like this. I'm praying for her. We gonna pray for her. She a backslider. Well, it's okay. I'll be whatever you want to call me, but I know who I am and I know what I am. So yes, there are some people who still have an issue. There are some people who will never accept it, and it's okay. I still love them. And guess what? It's their loss. Other people's gain. Because I know who I am. And let me tell you something. I'm not perfect, far from it. But I know the person that I am inside, and I know I'm a good person. I know that I have a good heart. I know I have an empathetic heart, and I'll do anything for anybody. So for those who choose to stay away and keep their children away because she got the devil in her, it's all good, because I have so many people that love me. One of the things I really began to realize, even with my expanded community, conscious family, even people that are not a part of this. I know that I'm loved, well respected. So it's okay. I'm good with who I have. And if I never get anyone else, I got y'all. So I'm good. And I love y'all.
Ooh, man. I have something special for you in a minute. Miss Deidre, you good? You can't be sit back there just like enjoying
No,
it.
I was really enjoying it. I was like, I'm just letting mother do the thing. There ain't nothing for
Mama
me to
Gwen.
say. Yes. Oh my goodness. This has been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And like I said, bravo to you. Because so many people would just say, you know what, I've been living this life. I'm gonna stick in my beliefs and I'm not gonna worry about nothing. You know, I'm not gonna worry about that expanded consciousness. I'm just gonna stick to my regular stuff. And they stay stuck in a rut. And you have consistently just said, I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. I'm gonna live my life for me. Hats off to you for that.
Thank
Hats
you.
off to you.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate you so much. You may be the baby of the family that I know, but oh my God, let me tell y'all something. You better learn to take from the babies because we all can grow. Don't ever think you're too old to learn from somebody else because as much as they say
Yeah.
they learn from me, all of them on here,
Yeah,
I learned so much from them. We all help each other.
absolutely.
Each one teach one.
I'm
So,
absolutely.
thank you.
I'm learning. So I follow so many 25-year-old YouTubers. I'm like, Jesus.
Listen.
Like
Right.
I'm like, okay. I know that the thing is when we realize that our age, our bodies, when you really can pull away from it.
Mhm.
I do that a lot in my meditations. Is practicing pulling away from the body, pulling away from the thoughts and going into, sometime I'll just be going out, I'll float. I'm developing so much with this music. This music is going to literally, I'm just, one of my best friends, Ron, he come over and he was talking about, because the words I'm using, he was like, that's hypnotic. It's some other word. Because like you just said, like focus on you said something about the ear. Do you hear it? And he was like, that's causing a person to actually go into that and they're going to be listening for something. And then, so it has a lot of melodicness to it. It has a lot of words that are designed to actually work with your soul, right? You are the one that mentioned miracles whenever I played it, and then I seen the video.
Yes,
and you were playing it again.
I play it almost every day, and sometimes several times a day. And now I wasn't going to mention the song, but now that you said that, I will say this just to give you an idea of how spirit will speak to you. I made the video as I was walking, and I had wrote a beautiful post. And before I could hit share, immediately, that's not public. Now, do you see what I mean? You talking about now that wasn't nothing but spirit, you know? And so I shared it with Expanded Consciousness. First, I got permission from Coach. I sent it to him. And I sent it to Dr. Dorothy because she had heard it. And, just to show you just how quick spirit will check you. And it happens so much. And then I'll be like, okay, that's why. You got to listen. See, as within, so without. As above, so below. So as you go within, even before you get a chance to do something you shouldn't do, or go somewhere you shouldn't go, or go away you shouldn't go, you'll automatically hear a check in your spirit, and you'll know not to. And I'm like, this is so fun now. I'm just like really enjoying this. It's just amazing. I feel like I don't feel like a 70-year-old. What does a 70-year-old feel like? I don't know, but I don't feel 70.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. You have entered into that space and into that space of life. And the best thing that a person can ever do is there comes a point where it feels like it matters, even my blackness, because I love it. But I push myself into being to being just spirit, being self, being authentic, being beyond it, right? And when you do that, especially in practice, I believe that's where that Christ consciousness realm is, because now I can connect to get rid of duality, and now I'm connecting straight to the essence of where we come, right?
Yes.
And then getting why we are here, right? And so your age, as Bishop Archbishop Lewis would say, my age and my age is none of my business.
Right. Let me backtrack a minute too. I just started with my dear friend Sister Marie asked me, you have to be willing to lose what you think you have. And I said what you think you have because you cannot lose what you never had. So when you begin to talk about your expanded consciousness and leaving what once was, people will either, if they really ever loved you, they will still love and accept you and embrace you. And if not, they never really loved you anyhow. Because love does what? Love accepts. So I wanted to back, because you have to be willing to accept. There are some people who are you're going to lose, but you never had them. So if you can't embrace who I am now as an expanded conscious person, then you never accepted me back then. Because back then, I'm going to say this, we all were full of a lot of bullshit. In the church, let me tell you, so all the holiness, all the religious people, I remember saying years ago as a child growing up, and they wore the long skirts in the Pentecostal churches and the long sleeves. Honey, them girls were still getting pregnant, so them skirts still came off. These people behind these pulpits, they still doing everything they preach against. So what are you really losing if you walk away from, so to speak, Christianity and embrace it? I'm saying it. You ain't lost nothing, because half of them is hypocrites anyhow. You ain't even living what you preaching. The church preaches about love and God is love. Y'all don't know what love is. And I'm going to say it because I've been there myself. I used to be behind that pulpit preaching one thing, but knowing I wasn't 100% what I was preaching. Come on. I'm telling on me. I can be transparent. So don't worry about whoever don't accept you now when you leave it, because you never had them and they ain't worth you having now.
Go. Hey, let's go.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be. Here's the thing. Like, hey, literally, you are in the expanded conscious family, no matter what, no matter the size as we grow, you will forever be the legend, the patriarch, right? The mother, like and I say that in a respect, and the fact that I think is beautiful how all of us are being able to come together and we able to have each other and the resources, right? It's like iron sharpens iron, but I will tell you, like, the diversity of people is what really, really, really makes this what it is, right? And so, man,
it was really meant to be. When you think back to all of us have one common denominator, it was all meant to be. It was not meant to be back then when I was following Bishop Pearson as a Christian leader. But look where we all end up now. And everybody who I've heard come through this platform, everybody's testimony has been the same. One man, and again, we honor Bishop Carlton Pearson. He is with us. He and he had elephants. I love elephants. I told my daughter today when we were out eating after we went to her father's grave, my husband's grave. I said, if I could have an elephant, I would. And he's like, where would you put it? But I love elephants. That is my favorite thing. I collect elephants.
I still got this. I know this goes to you. I need to make sure I have your address so we can get this to you.
Oh,
I'll remind you. I'll
Thank
remind you.
you.
I just need to look, and it even has Bishop Carlton Pearson from Life Coach Malachi.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
I need to get this to you. This was in his house.
Yes. Oh, wow. What an honor. What a
It'd be cool. That's always been yours. I'm just.
We know, Coach. You busy.
It's okay. It takes him a little while, but he
gets to it. Yes. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Yes.
No more trauma.
No more trauma. Trauma brings drama. Drama we don't want. They can take that. What they say the drama for your mama. Mama, you can have it. Even though you're not here, you can have it.
Some things though, putting it out here in public so we all can see. Right now, we'll get it worked out before next Thursday. And then by next Thursday, like, woo, got it.
Yes.
So here we go. Cool. So I appreciate everyone here. We've been on here and it's been a good session. Since you like miracles, I think we should play miracles. I have something special about that. So I'm doing a lot of editing and mixing, mastering. I'm going to the great lengths to make this not just be pushing a button. It's going to sound good, work good, and they just updated some new stuff on the software. So the sounds are, everything's more detailed. The jazzes, I mean, all the instruments are just on point. I mean, I had my friend listen to it today and he was like, he said, this is weird. He said, I just don't know how to feel because
wow.
He's like, I want to go and look up the artist. Like, I want more music by that person, but it's like, that is not a real person. I was like, well, I've saved the voices. I have maybe about 4 or 5 voices that I use pretty consistently. So I want to have my same voices. But anyways, let's just listen to this version of Miracles and see what we think on the way out. And thank you, Miss Deidre, for the Patreon. Just go to Patreon, Expanded Consciousness Community. And that way you can join. I think it's worthwhile if you join. It was a special, I think, at one time. If anybody out there needs assistance or help with that, too bad. No, I'm joking. Just get with Deidre and we will get you in there. For me, it's not about the money, but the commitment as I do all this. You have expenses, but I do also know where I'm differ from a church is that the information that you will get amongst the community as we come together is going to be, that information is worth a lot. It's transformative. And so, and as we grow, it allows us to do more, have more, and to be more within each other. But anyways, I'm gonna play this. And do y'all want to stay on screen or off screen? Y'all good?
It doesn't matter.
All right, well, let's just listen to it. We'll do it like a listening room.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Miracles come knocking like a quiet melody. You got to let them in to set your spirit free. The universe is humming a tune you can't ignore. So open up your heart, there's always something more. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. Believe them with your soul and watch the reasons why. Manifest your wonder, let the journey start. Miracles like rivers, they flow into your heart. They say the world is wild, an untamed mystery. But if you close your eyes, belief is the key. Glimmering in darkness like whispers in the rain.
Yes.
Miracles will guide you through the joy and through the pain. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. Believe them with your soul and watch the reasons why. Manifest your wonder, let the journey start. Miracles like rivers, they flow into your heart. They say the world is wild and untamed mystery. But if you close your eyes, belief is the key. Glimmering in darkness like whispers in the rain. Miracles will guide you through the joy and through the pain. Shy away if you want, kid, be afraid if you dare. But this life's no performance, no need for a snare. They'll judge you, they'll doubt you, but don't lose your flame. Miracles are waiting, just call them by name. Oh, miracles, oh, magic, they dance up in the sky. In the sky. Leave them win with your soul and watch the reasons why. Watch the reasons why. Manifest your wonder, let the journey start. Miracles like rivers, they flow into your heart.
Awesome. Awesome. Mama, I loved it. Woo! Put on a shopping shoes.
Oh my goodness, it's so fun. It's so fun.
Yes.
You know, I'll tell you, there's so much that to have a lot of music in your head like I did and do. But what it takes to actually take that out of your head to a musician that can play, then to other musicians, and then to, it's almost impossible. You could do it, but it's almost impossible if you can't play. And so having that tool and being able to take that out of my head and just being able to be like, okay, wow, I like it. It worked. But the biggest thing is just being this for me is in this space. There was two things that I'll comment on music. One thing was growing up in the church and being around the church and not necessarily having any music, right? In this space, having music that actually you can listen to, and it's not, Jesus, 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 got him on my mind. I got Jesus on my mind. The devil's trying to take me back, like just although that music that's just counterproductive. And that's one thing that I had in my spirit. And then I'm writing a lot of stuff that relates to just war and time and what we're going through and being able to have something that can, I'm pretty sure it might be on there, but it talks about imagine if we could love, but thank you so much. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's good to see everyone, out this evening. And until next Thursday, also, I want to let everyone know in the community, I will, before we get off here, we'll close out this, Deidre. but I have the link, the private link for tomorrow at 1 Central. I'm going to be a
One
person.
Central, correct.
Yeah, C.E. Anderson. It's basically a psychotherapist. So a therapist, Reiki, young lady that focuses a lot on Black therapy, which I like. But she's really neat. You can look her up, C.E. Anderson. But I'll post a link in the private community because I will be interviewing her tomorrow privately, and then I'll edit it and post it. It just won't be in this live part of the live community. So it will be posted on YouTube and everyone will get to see it. But for those who are inside the community, we'll have a link inside the Patreon. So
Okay.
it'd be cool. And
Thank you so
tomorrow.
much.
And then, Deidre, is it Saturday?
Yep, Saturday at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern.
Okay.
So
for our bi-weekly gathering.
Yep.
Okay.
So this Saturday, and we have a lot of fun in there.
Yes, we
you
do.
know. So, all right. Love you guys, and we'll see you real soon.
Love you all. Good night.
All right. Woo. Navigating through the assets. Okay. Bye.
Embark on your journey, the path you must take. Though hate may surround you, it's not your fate to forsake. Co-creating your destiny in the dance of time. The guiding light within you ignites the sublime. It is the light, the guiding light from the heart and soul. Don't lose control. Let it be the light, shining bright, unlocking potential beyond belief, taking flight. In the depths of your being, the truth resides. Embrace your power, let your spirit rise. With every step forward, you transcend the expanded conscious community we commit. Through trials and triumphs, your soul evolves in the symphony of life, where every note resolves. Listen to the whispers of your inner voice. In unity and love, let your heart rejoice. It is